I'm Monica with David from Deloitte Maldives, and I'll be your MC for the rest of today's session. Before we commence, let me give you a few housekeeping announcements. Tea and coffee will be served at all times throughout the sessions outside the hall. The directions for washrooms and prayer rooms in the compound will be provided outside. If you require any assistance, you may contact any of our staff with the official pass and will be more than happy to help. We are starting off this afternoon panel with a panel discussion on understanding the ethical implications of AI. Let me call upon the panel Mr. Mohamed Shareef. Mr. Shareef is the Director of Government and International Relations at OXIQA. He is an accomplished digital development executive and educator with over 2 decades of expertise in the field. He spearheaded the advancement of Kyoto public digital infrastructure projects such as the Maldives National Digital Identity, which used AI for the very first time in the public service delivery. His career includes roles at the UN University, Shareef College, and NCIT with notable contributions to e-government and academia. Dr. Mohamed Kinaanath. Dr. Kinaanath is the Minister of State for Homeland Security and Technology. He is a renowned technologist with a PhD in information technology and was honored with the prestigious 2021 Presidential Award for Exceptional Service in ICT. With international experience at UNICEF Maldives, he also chairs the Maldives Integrated Tourism Development Corporation and the Maldives National Hajj Corporation Limited. He is an academic researcher and educator in the field as well. Dr. Muhammad Adil. Dr. Adil is the Deputy Vice Rector of Research and Innovation at Villa College, who holds a PhD from the University of Sheffield, UK. He specializes in multi-criteria decision analysis, focusing on public sector procurement decision making. He also holds a Master of Science in IT Management from the University of Technology, Malaysia. Dr. Adil started his career in the education sector in 1996 and held the positions of headmaster and principal in numerous schools in the Maldives. This session will be moderated by Ms. Aishath Abdulla. Ms. Aishath is a member of the Tax and Public Policy Committee and a member of CM Maldives. Ms. Aishath is a fully qualified chartered accountant with over a decade of extensive experience in public sector internal auditing, accounting, and finance. She is currently the manager of internal audit at the Island Aviation Services Limited. She is also the vice chairperson of the State Internal Audit Committee at Ministry of Finance and a member of MNU Advisory Committee. I invite all the panelists on stage.
Alright, can you hear me? Alright, let's start. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone has had a good lunch and is ready to engage in the second panel discussion of this forum. We have a fantastic line of speakers for this panel as well. My name is Aisha and I will be the moderator for this panel. So this panel discussion focuses on the topic of understanding the ethical implication of AI. Through this panel, I hope that we get to discuss the main factors that could have contributed to make the buzzword AI caught the attention of people in different perspectives, along with the role of ethics and regulations in AI and how organizations ensure compliance with those regulations while implementing AI. The discussion will mainly focus on three broad questions from different areas, and I would like each panelist to share their perception and expertise regarding each question, and then we move on to the next question. If time permits, we can discuss the other areas too. Since we have got 60 minutes for this panel discussion, we will have the discussion for the next 45 minutes and then open the floor for the Q&A from the audience. Following the groundbreaking release of ChatGPT in November 2022, AI has drawn immense attention on the global stage. With an unexpected surge in innovation and product launches, organizations worldwide are racing to develop and integrate AI in their businesses. However, amidst this intensity, many are concerned with the risks AI poses and are calling for establishment of shared safety protocols to safeguard it while it's still in its infancy. So I would like to kickstart this panel discussion by inviting our panelists to provide us with their view on the factors that could have contributed to this release and adaptation of AI. We can start with Mr. Shareef and then followed by Dr. Kinaanath and Dr. Adil.
Thank you, Aishath. Well, let me first thank CA Maldives for inviting me. It's wonderful to be in front of such a big audience of professionals. I'm sure you heard earlier today that AI is definitely the transformative force of our lifetime. And I do believe this. And I'm sure you've heard how unprecedented the technology can be for transforming our lives and for tackling the major problems the globe is facing. And we've heard just in the opening, Minister talk about the issues of our nation, our economic woes and challenges. So this is where AI can shine, definitely. Now, the question was asked about my specific area and what AI is and how and why it's here, right? Now, for me, let me just briefly introduce myself. I spent over 25 years in this area, and my first foray into AI was back in 2009/10. 2010 is when the paper got published. You can Google it, PDFs available. That's when I first used AI. Well, at that time we call it an artificial neural network technology. So an artificial neural technology and network technology called coherent self-organizing maps. It's an artificial AI technology that I used at the time when I was in academia, the United Nations University, to understand the digital divide in the Maldives. So the paper was called Exploring the Digital Divide in the Maldives. So that was when I started realizing we can get insight using AI, and we can actually start talking about the problems of our nation by applying AI. And that was like almost 14 years ago, now coming to 15 years, right? And then since then I've moved into public sector, and I was lucky enough to head the team that introduced pioneering work in the introduction of AI in public service. I'm sure you all know that story, so that's a story for another time. And now in the private sector today, I work at OXIQA. I'm sure you heard my MD talk yesterday. So at OXIQA, we have our own AI company called Synetics. So we are grooming AI. Why? Our mandate, or Synetics mandate, is to make sure in our effort to digitally transform ourselves that Divehi does not become its victim. So we don't want to sacrifice Divehi for digital transformation. We want debate to be part of the digital transformation. And so was born Senetex. And today Senetex is used by major public sector organizations. Just last week, we signed up a new client. So AI to save our values, our culture, our language. We are already working on this. So AI is here, AI is in everything we do. So every day when I wake up, I get a daily alert based on yesterday and based on last week on my watch. My day is called. And it tells me how many minutes I have to run today, how many active minutes, how many steps my target, how many stairs I need to climb. But I start my day with AI. That is how, so AI is not like future. AI is not something that we are going to now think about. Now we are thinking AI governance, already a little bit late. I'm sure you've seen on TV how the big economies are dealing with this. So yes, I'm very happy. Thank you, Niazi, for inviting us. This conversation is long overdue, especially in a profession like the finance industry where compliance is extremely important, right? But and this is AI that I used, that's the AI I used in the past almost 14 years ago. But at the cutting edge, people who are paralyzed are able to speak with brain interfaces today. Cancer, breast cancer is being able to be detected 3 to 5 years prior to its visibility now. And this is at the cutting edge. And in this decade, this will become mainstream. So AI is here to transform our lives, but we definitely think AI should be transforming our lives while we keep our value set, while we keep our language, what makes us Moldavians. And that is why at our company, we have another company that specializes in debate AI. That is at our company, we think we have to do advocacy work on responsible use of AI, on transparent use of AI. And that is why we are here. We are also here because we have good lunch. Of course, just last week I had an opportunity to actually talk like this to about 50 tertiary educators. So I asked them, how many of you use AI? Especially the topic was generative AI, a type of AI that is very new, right? Very new. And I was flabbergasted. I thought maybe not many people use it, especially in their work. And no, 56% of higher education, tertiary educators were using it, ChatGPT. And out of that, 20% was using it on a weekly basis in their work to support their educational work. And 30% was using it on a monthly basis, once or twice a month. So I said, this is a good beginning. But do you have an AI policy, AI for education policy at your university? No. So this is why this conversation is important today. Because whether we have a policy, whether we have a framework for responsible AI use, whether we talk about it or not, individually, we will use it. We will use it. Right? So why you? To answer your question now, right? There are 5 factors that I want to highlight, and I'm sure my co-panelists will elaborate on this. Number 1, reason why we are here today is because not AI is new. AI is not new. The first AI workshop was held in the 1950s. The AI experts of today, the leaders, actually spend almost a month in one place trying to decide the future of AI. And for all those years, AI has been developing slowly. But today, what is different is, today we have technologies which can put millions and billions of transistors on a single chip. SoC, system on a chip. This is what's changing. The compute power that you can develop at a cost that you can actually afford to pay. And of course, the storage. AI needs data. Data is the new oil. And thanks to cloud computing, storing data becomes very easy. Thanks to social media, we freely give out information. So today, in the last decade, right? Last decade is around 2010 is when we say the IR4 started, Industrial Revolution 4 started, right? Now we are looking at an Industrial Revolution 4.5 or maybe even 5.0, an AI revolution, right? So in the last decade, we have produced more data than the whole of humankind ever had. And this data, along with this compute power, is why we are here. And of course, there are a few other reasons as well. But one of the key reasons, the bottom, the fifth reason, is there is also a global shift happening from a bipolar world to a multipolar world. And in this global shift, technology, the global competitive technology is playing a huge part. So you will also already see this happening in the 5G, and now this is happening in the AI, and this is driving more and more public sector investment into this. And of course, private sector sees the benefits. Private sector sees the benefits because trillion-dollar companies are being created on top of DX, digital transformation. And the next step in digital transformation is AIX, artificial intelligence transformation. What I would like to call it AI, but not artificial, what we call augmented intelligence. That means our human intelligence works with artificial intelligence, and there's no artificial intelligence anymore. It's just compute that we get, and we then come up with augmented intelligence solutions where we still retain what makes us human, what makes us Maldivians, what makes us a Divehi person. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me tell you how AI actually started. Now, a lot of people think AI started about 2 years ago. No. Actually, the initial idea was coined by a British scientist, mathematician called Alan Turing in 1950s. So he actually did a test, Turing test, so which actually tests the intelligence of computer machines. So this was the time when the first computer came out. 1947, the IBM released the first computer programmable chip they were able to create accidentally. So they were able to get the first machine on 1947. So very close to 1947 this has happened. Now, since AI is now in our doorstep. Now, a lot of people whom I met always say they don't like technology. But I have to tell you, those of you who don't like technology will be out of place in the coming years because AI is with us. If you look at any sector, AI is there. Education sector, health sector, any sector, AI is there. Now, I'm sure you have seen the demo this morning from Microsoft. So which is I think it's about Copilot. Now, the government has renewed the license for Microsoft license last month, and then we have renewed 26,000 license. And also to tell you, we have actually added Copilot as well into the license. So initially we are bringing a limited amount, about 260, and then based on the feedback, I'm sure it will be a positive feedback. We will be adding more license into it. But I'll tell you, the integration of AI into our community has actually posed threats sometimes. The UN Secretary General says AI actually can be a threat to humanity. Right? So he now have decided to create an organization for AI, governing AI for humanity organization. So because it can actually threat the humanity. Now, if you use it in the right way, it won't. But AI has came into our doorstep so quickly, we are actually not ready. AI-related, technology-related bills, we are actually drafting. Government is drafting. Already, we are drafting 7 bills, not purely AI, but it will be related to technology. And some of the bills we are asking for amendments. So yeah, talking about AI, I have to tell you, if you use to make good use of AI, it will be very helpful. Say for example, like Copilot. Now I think you have seen the demo. It can actually create documents within seconds, right? So for example, like if you want to create a proposal, these things would have taken weeks to create, but AI can do it within minutes, within seconds. But then, I mean, if we get AI integrated into the organization, some people think, well, people will be redundant, in other words, jobless, right? But my argument is that humans can act in a higher level than creating documents. Creating documents, a clerical work, which a machine can do it, AI can do it. But I think human can act in a far higher level than the creation of documents.
Okay.
Well, thank you, CM Olives, and thank you, everyone. First of all, I think as the topic goes about ethics, I would like to say what ethics means, first of all. What does it mean for me, for instance? Well, I would say that it is our morality, how we look at it, how our moral compass is focusing on it. For instance, if generally taught, for instance, let's say a terrorist for Israel is a martyr for Palestine. It's the same guy, but direct opposite viewpoint it is there. So it's the same case with AI as well. So it's with AI when you're looking into ethical point of view. Before AI, let's say before AI, initially when calculators were available for us, for instance, our forefathers, they thought that if we use calculators, we will be dumb and we will not be as great as they did. But are we dumb? We have created AI. That shows that we are not so dumb, right? So we need to embrace these changes. So that is, first of all, we need to understand that every day changes will happen. The earlier the adoption, the better that we will pass it through and we will do it better on it. And similarly, it was the case when the computers and the internet came. Even today, I'm asking my kids not to use these devices so long, and I'm limiting them for 1 hour or 2 hours maximum per day how to use the devices. But can we control it in future? But it's the means that they get knowledge. It's the means that they create today's knowledge. It's the means that they create knowledge, they gain knowledge, they produce knowledge and disseminate knowledge. So we need to have a different way of thinking, I think. That is, let's say again, another example. In my lifetime, in your lifetime, let's say 10, 12 years back, when we travel around the world, when we go to a different city, what we get is a little bit bigger than this paper as a map. Folded map to show around the place and to walk around, we take that, right? And we remember the Elizabeth Road, whatever the road names, and then we try to see the corners of the names and try to move on. Now, we just open Google Maps from our app, and it is searchable as well. If we don't have internet before we go, we download the map and then go. And we don't need to remember the road names. It will tell us our directions, we have to move on. So, that is still there. It's helping us our life. So, if we just want to live in an ice age, that's not the way forward. We need to move on. So we need to take measures. Adoption is the best thing. Like when we talk about AI, as Dr. Kinaanath and others has mentioned, that AI is the coming is not actually very surprising for me as well. It has been there long back, especially when 2 decades back. When I was doing my undergraduate degree, MIT students, they have developed a language processing system which can produce academic articles which is publishable. And I have got access to that system then when we were studying. And we can produce journal articles from that system. It gives figures, charts, and a lot of content and with good references. And the students, they have tested even that system. They have published even high-level journals, papers generated through the system to test that it works on, and it has been published. So It is more than 25 years back I'm talking about. So I knew that this is going to come to the public as like this we are using. But the point is, as Dr. Kinaanath has said, there is a good use of it. So we need to learn how to use it ethically, how to use it well, how to embrace it and use it well. Sometimes, as in the higher education system where we are, maybe the students may not know how to use it well. It's even our duty to tell them how to use it well, how to adapt it well. So what we are doing is we are developing policies, procedures to adopt it, how to tell them how to use it. For instance, let's say initially, before it is widely used, the students had access to internet and they used to take information from the internet and different journals and books. We have a way of getting the information to the assignments. They just don't copy, they just give references. We just tell the student, the more that you read from other places, that is better that you show it in the assignment that you have read from these places. So they are asked to give references and show that they have read all these and they are presenting the knowledge. That's actually better. I think it can be, AI can be one of them to adopt, to show that they have received knowledge or gained knowledge in all the areas. And some universities, like for instance, the University of Leeds, they have 3 layers of AI use. They have no AI, some work. With some references, they can do AI, so given references, and then full AI. So it's the module lecturer's job to define, okay, this assessment we have to use AI. This assessment we cannot use AI. So how to use responsible AI is being taught to the student. Then another question is, how? Without AI, you are doing an assignment, how do you know that the students would not use AI if it is not the case? But the thing is, it is our creativity, how to provide assignments, how to give them the task, what to be done. Even if you type in ChatGPT, how to give students work without using ChatGPT, they will give more than 100 list of ways to assess students without use of AI. So we need to know how to design our assessments and how to provide the students if we don't want them to use it. But our proposal is even QAA, the quality agency, UK, they are also proposing, regulations are being done, it's already out there. They are also proposing to use AI, tell the kids to use AI ethically, how to use it and how to not use it. So educating us, educators, how to use it in our assessments. But there are also some concerns for us as well. When this AI develops this much, our regulating agencies are not up to the mark. So we are still behind, I would say. So probably our regulation agencies would say, okay, we need to have an exam which covers 50%, but if the students need to sit and write an exam for 3 hours. But for instance, let's say if you are doing a research methodology module, so if you are asked to do an exam for 3 hours for research methodology module, can you write a proposal within 3 hours just like sitting without doing any references? This is, one of my colleagues says that is ridiculous. So there are some certain areas that we need to develop as well. But I would say that we need to use AI, but ethically, as the topic says, and we need to guide the students how to use AI, and we need to educate the educators, the lecturers, how to use AI and how to generate assignments, assessments that which does not require AI, the way which requires AI in that way. I would find it for now. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. As all the panelists has mentioned that there exist scenarios where it rises the question that if AI is being unmanaged, the impact of AI could be profoundly damaging. The risk of AI is that it could allow misinformation to be spread throughout the online world by creating fake but seemingly real images and videos. So, in your opinion, what role do ethics and regulations play in AI, and how important it is how important is early implementation of those regulations. Moreover, could you further elaborate on what are the regulations implemented in your or are to be implemented in your relevant fields? Dr. Shareef.
Thank you. I think this is where we should be actually concentrating most of our discussion. Because I'm sure if I ask you, over 60% of you will be already using ChatGPT. Now that is the most kind of flavor of the month, AI. But if I tell you what AI is, then I'll get an answer saying 100% of you are using AI in your daily lives. It's definite. Right? So AI's potential is definitely here. AI, whether we want or not, is going to be part of our daily lives. There is like saying, oh no AI between 5 and 7 in the morning. That is not how technology works, and definitely not how AI will work. However, we are humans. We create these technologies. I firmly believe that AI should be used to harness and amplify our innate creativity. So if you think AI is a tool for creativity, think again. Think of AI as a tool to amplify your creativity, your ingenuity, what makes us human. Right? And that is a decision we have to take as a society. Otherwise, those decisions are going to be taken by 4 people who own 4 big AI companies. And our lives will be dictated by the things we wear on our wrists, our fingers, right? I'm sure you've seen the Galaxy Ring come out just a couple of weeks ago. So we as a society need to ask ourselves, what do we want from AI? Not what can AI do? And then just follow that. Because we have a set of values that we would like to retain and teach our children. And that value should be learned and taught to AI. And that is why the vision for my AI, and that is why I work where I am working now, right next to an AI company, is for AI to empower us to innovate. Not for AI to innovate for us, which is 2 very different things. AI should be empowering us to innovate. AI should be empowering us to transform our economies, face the challenges the minister yesterday was talking about, not asking AI, what should I do next? I need, 8 million a month? How do I chase after it? That is not what I think AI should be sort of. So it is crucial for us to recognize the power of AI. It is also crucial for us to recognize we are humans. Nothing artificial about us. Right? I hope not. But we have to be aware. So I want to give you a list of 10 things because I've been asked just as a panelist, as a speaker I could have done more. Hint, next year. So yes, there are 2 areas. One is general AI. As an individual, what do I need to be aware of, right? 4 things. Bias and discrimination. AI is taught from data of our lives. So when we developed an LLM in Dubai, and our engineers showed what it was writing, I said, stop. What have you been teaching it? The newspapers, Dubai newspapers. It doesn't know what is Dubai. It thinks all the comments on newspapers is how Maldivians speak and write. It doesn't know any better. So for AI, this is how we speak. So we have to reteach AI that this is not real Dubai. Bias, it was political, it was extremely heated essays it was writing. So we had to put safeguards. So now if you go to debatals.com, no political stories can be written by our AI. Because it's very, very tricky. And this is not new. Throughout the AI has been used in the judiciary to help judges with sentencing guidelines. And it has been shown, and this is like 10, 20 years ago, this has been shown that black people have been recommended worse sentences for the same kind of situations. Because for centuries that was the case. That was the data that was used to teach the AI. And AI doesn't know any better. AI is only good as the data you use to teach it. So we have to be careful of bias and discrimination, protection of our privacy. We have to be extremely careful. My private data is being used to teach. I actually have a button on my Copilot which allows me to give my data to teach. Actually, I do. You have to rethink and make your decision for yourself. I do because on my private Copilot, I want it to learn my way so that I don't have to keep correcting it and it can actually use my language. But on my corporate, there is no even button. Nothing. All my Copilot conversations with my corporate never stored by Microsoft. So every day I have to start from zero. It doesn't know who I am. On my tertiary education, I have an education Copilot as well. It's even more protective. So I can even share grades and then ask recommendations to design a lesson plan, and Microsoft will not keep any details about the student or the institution. So yeah, we have to be very careful. Transparency and explainability. AI have killed people. So AI-driven cars have actually hit and killed people. How do you ask it? Why did you not stop when you clearly see the person in front? It will stop. So we have to build AI that can explain itself. A human driver can explain. He's expected to explain. But a computer, how do you ask it to explain? Why did you make that decision? Were you trying to save somebody else? Then killed her instead of him? What's the reason behind that, right? And then of course accountability and liability. When AI does something, who is liable? Who is accountable? Who do you take to court when AI does something, right? And those are the four things that you'll be careful of. But as a society, there are more things. And one of the first thing is job displacement. Countries are putting in massive frameworks to retrain their workforce. They are putting in new educational curriculum to ensure that the next generation who leaves school will be AI ready. So that all the jobs that AI will take, these guys will be able to take over the AI that takes over those jobs. Right? Job displacement is reality. Security and weaponization. Already AI-enabled weapons are being used reportedly. Well, I definitely don't know for sure. But there are reports. But where do we draw the line? Are we as a society going to allow AI to make life or death decisions, that is, pull the trigger? Or even with AI weapons, maybe a human makes a decision to kill another human. So this is major issues. Right? If when AI makes decision to kill, who is an enemy, who is a terrorist? Who makes those decisions? And these are not happening tomorrow. Already this is in the two conflicts. In both the conflicts, there are reports of AI-enabled weapons. Social manipulation. I'm sure you've heard of big elections in big economies, right? All societies are being manipulated using social media and AI. So it is not just about deepfakes that we worry about. It is that whole island. Now in Maldives also there have been situations where the whole island has been socially kind of rethinking their value sets. A few years back, I'm sure you remember, there were clashes with the police, right? So imagine you can do that at a national level, where a whole country could be kind of reprogrammed with social media and with the tools we wear and choose to live by. That is why we have to be careful with AI. Social manipulation. But one of the things that was very interesting, and I didn't think about this because I am a staunch advocate for AI. I forgot what are all the bad things behind it. So I forgot when after my session with the tertiary educators, one of the educators came up and said, Shareef, this is all very good, but wouldn't we lose our skills over the years? Will we not start to have a dependence on this. And then it clicked. You're right. That is a serious issue. The issue of dependence on AI. The issue of de-skilling. At the national level, I'm sure, Dr. Kinaanath will talk about, we need frameworks to ensure that how can we assess what's going to happen. Now, I can tell you for a fact, as someone who has used AI all my life, is at the level it's been available, right? I have been able to always go up. I use AI at this skill level, but then I am at the next skill set. Next skill set, next skill set. So I spend, and I tell myself, at least 3 hours a week in education. So I have all these PDF certs issued by various Google, Microsoft. Unless you do that, AI is going to de-skill you, definitely. And you are going to start dependence on it, and you cannot do your job without it. But still, in tomorrow's interviews, you are going to be given AI. And you are going to be compared with across how well you use AI. And then in the how well you use AI, everyone will have the same tag, right? Everyone will have the same tag. Only the difference would be what you bring to that tag. And what do you bring? You bring your mastery, your ACCA, your mastery. And can you then augment these two technologies? You will get the job. Not the guy who just knows how to run APT or GPT or ACCA, PT. But only 2 days ago, there was a huge protest in Nicaragua. Google's opening a data center there. The environmental impact of these huge cloud data centers, nothing to scoff about. Huge impact. E-waste, emissions. So AI, to just train one of these multi-100 billion AIs, you're gonna spend like years worth of energy that is enough to cover one small island for 1 year, just to train one GPT. So imagine that the environmental impact of this. And finally, when we started this digital transformation, e-government and digital, the one thing we were taught is about digital divide. So that's the paper I asked you to kind of do Google it. You will find my thoughts on the digital divide in the Maldives. Today we are talking about AI divides. Already, if you go to an island in the Maldives, to a school, ask the grade 6-year-old about AI, then come back to Maldives here, go to GIS or Armenia and ask the grade 6-year-old, you will see an AI divide. You will see it. And this divide exists now between our islands, right? But this divide is what the big economies are scared of. Maldives as a country is going to be divided between. So our economies are going to spread about. And these are things that worry us. And this is why we have to be careful, and we have to have national frameworks, we have to have regional frameworks, we have to have global frameworks, as Dr. Kinaanath said, at the highest level of UN, to make sure these 10 things are addressed while we enjoy. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, let me tell you, we will be drafting an AI bill very soon to the Parliament. Along with the AI bill, we have several bills at the moment we are drafting. I'll give you a list. One is the cybersecurity law. We are already drafting privacy and data protection bill, which was already there before, but we are just reviewing it. Trust service regulation bill, digital ID bill, copyright law, it's an amendment, penal code, that's also an amendment, Jina Ijrat Vigano, that's also another one. So we have 7 bills in the queue, and then I hope these bills will be approved once it goes to the Parliament, and then AI bill we will be drafting, and then in the Parliament. So let's hope these bills will be approved, endorsed by the Parliament soon. Coming back to the AI and ethics, actually ethics means right or wrong, right? So if we use the wrong way AI, it will be obviously not good. But if we let's take the positive side of AI, AI actually can bring a lot of efficiency to an organization. Myself and Homeland Minister traveled to China last month, and then we actually wanted to see. We had an invitation from Huawei. And then we had seen the AI, level in China. Some of the AI level in China is so high, right? I'll give you two examples. One is that, say, for example, in the road you have the garbage, right? Dumped. I can see in Maldives, so we can see in middle of the road garbage. Now in China, what happens is if there is a garbage dumped, this will be immediately reported to the city council. In our case, Mali City Council. So in China, the city council, it will be informed. There is a ticket, right? So instantly there is a ticket. Then they act, and within 20 minutes that garbage will be taken. No human interaction. This garbage is detected through the smart technologies that they use. Another example is, for example, we had a case of a restaurant. There was a rat moving, right, on the roof. Within 10 minutes, HPA of China came, and then they shut down the restaurant, right? Within 10 minutes. So that level of technology is there. Right? So I wish, and I'm hoping in the Maldives we will be able to have the same technology. Why not, right? Because if you look at the Maldives, statistically, some of our statistics is far ahead of the region. Internet penetration rate, 85%, far ahead of this regional statistics. Then like mobile subscribers, everyone having a smartphone. And then the statistics has grown that every one person having two phones, very close to 1 million now, right? Now, I have been recently to SIG's conference in Antigua and Barbuda. So we presented our digital landscape, and they said you shouldn't be in SIG's, right? You should be in some another level, right? Because our statistics is far ahead. So what the positive side is that we will be able to adapt the technology, I'm sure, very soon. But we need to have the proper policies, guidelines, and frameworks. That is what we are lacking, right? Now NCIT, where I work now, have taken a different role now, right? We are actually now started developing policies, frameworks, and guidelines. We have a committee as well, and we are developing. We have in the queue about 40 policies, guidelines, and frameworks. And then very soon, to your officers, you will start receiving some of these guidelines, right? So, for example, like how to develop a software. When you develop a software, what's the guideline? When you buy a hardware, what's the guideline? There's no guideline, right? When you develop a website, what is the guideline? No, there isn't any guideline right now. So we will set up the guideline. So when it comes to AI and ethics, I'm sure still we need to develop these guidelines and to make sure that people actually don't misuse AI. Thank you.
When talking about the regulations, I just got a very recent article that is published in 2024 in Journal of University Teaching and Learning Practices. It's on AI assessment scale. And this is one of the fundamentals now most of the higher education institutions are looking into. The scale got actually 5 layers, divided into 5 layers. It says that, okay, some assessments and teaching can be without AI, no AI. And then the second layer, it says AI assisted idea generation and structuring that can be allowed. And then AI assisted editing at the third level. And then fourth level, AI task completion, human evaluation, and that can be allowed. And then the last layer, fifth layer, is with full AI. So the idea is when we teach the students, when we conduct the programs, we need to tell the students that in this module, what level this module is about. In each assessment, what are we expected to do? Even policies have been developed in my institution at Villa College as well. So in future, when we give work, when we give assessments to the students, the lecturer would define in one of these areas which area that assessment falls in. So they should be able to identify that where it is, and then they need to use it accordingly. Then the other regulations are coming in parallel with the other areas, like for instance referencing. You can see even now APA referencing, everyone, if you may know, it is already published in their website that how to reference ChatGPT. So it has been accepted, it has been widely used. So there is a way. If you reference a book, there's a way to do it. If you reference an article, there's a way to do it. Now, APA has formally put it in their website that how they reference the GPT as well. So regulations are being used, so students can use it ethically. So we can say that this is referenced by ChatGPT. But in the academia, some of us, we have some concerns about it. As again, about the ethics, the morality of us. Some of us, we say that when we generate content from ChatGPT, even though it is allowed, the ChatGPT content comes from thousands of authors. We don't know where it is. Originally, how it is being generated from, where it has, and the information being pulled and gathered. ChatGPT is actually trying to learn from our work, right? So, who is the original author when you reference it? So that is one of the gray areas that in the academia that we have. But how can we avoid it? So that's why some Australian universities, they have allowed to give just references to GPT. But even within my institution, some of us are actually still not happy to do that because it's not giving that actual original authors reference. So it's a sort of, some people think it is a sort of cheating, even though we say that we took the information from the ChatGPT. So regulations are coming, and then we are also trying to adapt to this same regulation that we are trying to adopt in Villa College as well. And what we are doing is we are doing training, as I said earlier. We are doing training for lecturers and students to adapt this generative AI in our institution. And mainly we say that advantages and disadvantages of this, how can we use it, and when we can use it, and how to use it well. So this type of training, we are already started conducting these trainings. Then another question is, in case if we don't want to allow AI in our assessments, because this also has one area where no AI is being used. So what can we do? So we have already written policies, the assessments, the style of assessment that we could give without using AI. I can give you one of the very good example. I'm taking one module for MBA students, which talks about system structures and operations. And then I give them a simulation. In that simulation, they need to run our company, just like a real company. They need to make all the decisions, all the strategic decisions, production decisions, stock decisions, pricing decisions, hiring, firing, loan taking, all those, just like a real life company. So my assessment in that one is every 2 years of operation, they need to write a reflective writing, how they have run that company, why they have taken those decisions, and what was the consequence of those decisions, the justification for those decisions and the consequence of those decisions. And they need to present a reflective writing. So our assessment is based on reflective writing. If anyone wants to get it done through AI, it's almost impossible because AI didn't run that business. AI doesn't know how to do it. But you can write a really good prompt to AI, but it may not really be as it is that they have been doing that business. So the reflective writing style, that's the one I'm using in my MBA class. So we can have the assessments designed in such a way if we don't want to use the students to use AI. Again, even olden days when we were studying, we had some of us may have had even open book exams as well. But even though you get an open book, you can't do it. Even the exam, for example, if you get a case to solve, so even though you have a book, you can't do it. For instance, let's say if you are supposed to design, a computer scientist would design a database, ER diagram. So the situation is given then even if you refer hundreds of books, you can know how to draw circles and squares, but the logic of getting the database design, ER diagram, cannot come from a book. It comes from your mind. So we can design the assessments in such a way that AI cannot be used. So we need to be creative. That's what we are trying to do. And we also have another issue here. One issue is that we are still using AI knowingly or unknowingly. For instance, if we are given us common simple assignment that to type in a Word document for a topic, let's say for an essay. But when you type in the document, the Microsoft Word automatically tells you spelling errors, grammatical errors, you can correct it. That is still AI. Are we doing that? So that is also use of AI. So we need to be, which level of AI are we accepting, or which level of AI we are not accepting. So that's what we need. And another thing is, how do we know that students use AI? So if we say that students should not use AI, and if they have used AI, how do we detect? And there are detection systems, detection softwares are there. Even in Villa College, we are using one of the best ones. They say the software vendor says it's 100% they can detect if AI is being used. But in the literature, they say that it is 99.99% correct, but there is a slight error. And that seems to be in the market, the best in the market. We are using that at the moment. So the problem is, it is not 100% foolproof. So what if the student did not use AI and our system detects that it is used AI? So that's the problem, right? We would punish or penalize the student for academic integrity because of, even without his knowledge. That could be a problem. So using the system has some issues like this. So, but what we are doing is, even our lecturers, our human brain is, even as Dr. Kinaanath says, we are little ahead of AI still. I have been attending some of the recruitment meetings, and I could see few recommendation letters written in AI. While looking at the letter, I could identify that this is written by AI. So as a human being, we can still detect. And as for the lecturer's point of view, the lecturer knows the students better. So when the student produces an article, a document which is lecturer's perspective, not equivalent to the capacity of the student, it flickers it flickers to the lecturer. So there is a time to check whether this is the right one or not. Even if only AI detects, we may not be able to do it. So there is a human check I propose that we need to do to see that actually the student has this capacity to produce this much of knowledge or document. So then another question is, if the student has abused the system, so what are the penalties? So what do we do? It's the same case with when you copy the assignments as well. We have academic offenses, so we deal with academic offenses. That is treated as a real academic offense. So if you copy somebody's work and you didn't refer them or didn't acknowledge the work, then that means it's a copy. It's not your original document. So we need to penalize them. So we are attending same way to AI as well. If we detect and if it's proven to be AI generated and it's not supposed to be used in that assessment, we apply the same old academic offense procedures. And so, in case if this AI detection and if lecturers has some doubt that student has used AI where it should not be used, so how do we go about it for the proof? So even this article, even quality agencies, they are recommending to do further levels. For instance, ask the students to see their early version of that document when they were preparing the assessment, when they are doing the unfinished works, previous works, how they have come up with up to this level. So it would show that their work, how they have been doing. Or in the next layer, would be asked to come up and present their work so that we can, as to the few lecturers, so they can say that they have done that work. They can ask questions and see the level of assessment, the level of work. So that's the recommendation from few agencies. And also, even beyond higher level, we can do presentations with some group of other people and see their level of knowledge in that area. So there are a few ways that we go about it, identifying if they have gone through that. So if found to be academic offense, then as I said earlier, the previous regulation procedures follows as an academic offense. So that's what we are we are recommending in higher education to go about it. So we have and we have different cases even. Some students, when we ask for, let's say, do the presentations, we had one case. The student didn't ask. So then it is obviously the committee decides that because all the other indicators, A detection tool, then the lecturer as well suspects that it's in AI use, so the committee considers that it is use of AI, so it is being filed as an academic offense and the student gets 0. So that's the case. So that's what we have been doing. Thank you.
Alright, so since we are running out of time, I would like to open the floor for question and answers. Do you have any question on this topic? Please.
Good afternoon. So we've talked about academic integrity. So my question is about professional integrity. So if the reports or presentations or whatever is being presented is the same, how do we distinguish between experts, and is that distinguishment even important to the employers, or does it not matter?
Which panelists would like to answer to that? Dr.
I think for in the education setup, as I said before, we have mechanisms to see whether it is if an assessment is supposed to be not using AI, we have mechanisms to check. First, we have a system to check. We have lecturer's recommendation, and we bring the early work of the student, or we bring the student himself and ask him to explain. So with these four iterations, we can definitely decide whether it is being used or not. And then, as an academic procedure, we are just, as I said before, we are just following the penalties listed in academic offences. So that is the case in our case. I'm sure that the industry does.
Let me just add to that, right? In the private sector, and I'm sure in the public sector as well in the future, you will be expected to use AI and generative AI. If you don't, you already lost the competitive edge. Even in the interviews, in your tests to determine your capabilities, you will be given those tools, because in the industry, we don't want you to come to office and say, oh, it's Wednesday, it's no computers Wednesday. Oh, this is Thursday, it's no internet Thursday. You have to do everything yourself now. Here's a notepad and a pen. That is not how industry works. We need competitive edge. And competitive edge comes with it. So when you go to the interview and you say, no, I'm going to do it on my own, you compete with people who will use ChatGPT, who will use generative AI copilots. And if you can beat them, we will hire you and we will make you use it so that you will probably replace 10 of our staff. So yes, use it. So does it matter whether this is AI generated and there's a test shows essay? It doesn't. And these tests useless to us. What tests you will pass? Well, I have done whole national programs using not ChatGPT but Copilot. And I passed. Because internationally we were recognized. Ministers came and opened these big programs. And I was able to do it with just 3 months. Otherwise, it would have taken a 5-year planning to do this kind of thing. This is the pass and failure is not whether you did some documents on it, you came up with some criteria for analyzing something with it, you did all of those things. The criteria is whether you made the bottom line for your shareholders. That is what interviewers should be looking at in the future. Thank you.
The reality is whether people like technology or not, they have to use the technology now. There's no choice, right? Because AI is there. Now, if you look at, for example, like the medical field, medical area, the neurologists now they are using a wristwatch, right? So, for example, if someone is having high blood pressure, diabetes, so they high cholesterol. So what they do is now they have a wristwatch, to AI to monitor all the vitals. So based on the vitals, they make a predictive analysis and say, well, this person is likely to get a heart attack in the next 1 week, right? So this level of prediction is that may not be 100% accurate, maybe about 60% accurate. But I'm sure this is very helpful. A country like Maldives, whereby we are geographically distant, we have remote islands, and each island we don't have a big hospital. So in our case, this kind of AI tools are very helpful, and then I'm sure when we use it in the right way, this can actually prevent deaths in the case in our case as well.
Is there any other question? All right. Okay, and just to wrap up today's panel discussion, we have unpacked a lot of issues or risks AI could possess, along with implementations and compliance with regulations to get into those issues or risks. So with that, I end this panel discussion and thank you all the panelists for the insightful discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, panelists, for that interesting discussion. Kindly please wait on stage. To appreciate your contribution to this forum, we would like to bestow upon you tokens of appreciation. I kindly call upon President of the Institute and Auditor General, Mr. Hussain Niazi, to award the tokens. Mr. Mohamed Shareef. Dr. Mohamed Kinaanath. Dr. Mohamed Adil. Miss Aishath Abdulla.